Thank you all for being here this morning with us during this breakout session. Risk to resilience, a wellness to workforce model. And at this time, I would like to bring up Mr. Stephen Matthews, who is the founder and CEO of Punch for Pounds Incorporation. Mr. Stephen Matthews.
Good morning. Good morning. Waiting on the back for the music. Uh,
What do you have to lose? You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose?
We're pulling live from the other side of America. Mama let me sip the 40. I was just a shorty. Then I started spitting garlic, and they said record me. I feel like this was for me. This my story. Yeah. John at the porch. I got a Porsche, we'll take it back. I'm on the block with the killers and my own, of course. Yeah. I see my mom and dad separate, ain't talking divorce. Said daddy was living by the fire, and he died by the torch. I'm where the AKs is. We like the back kids. They have a daddy, I listen to suckers the same way that Ray did. I'm selling Smithers and HKs, and I just was a grade A kid. Ain't on no guy, and we grew up with hitters and did everything they said. Put on the block, we spinning that. Running the spot, we getting that. Give us some work, we flipping that. I'm hitting from jet, ain't hitting back. I need a lawyer, money for commissary, ain't nobody in sending that. I'm in my cell, like when I get up, I'm making a movie, no cinemax.
I would like everyone to pull out their phones. If they can tap that QR code, we have a P4 ACES handout worksheet that I would like us to review. Now, what you just heard isn't just a song. I call it a trauma report. It's what many youth are facing and navigating way before they meet me, way before they get to school, a work site, or a courtroom. Every line that you heard Meek Mill rap wasn't entertainment. It was what youth carry every day: grief, poverty, pressure, without a roadmap to stability. So by a show of hands, and I seen a group over there, it was a table to my right. I seen their heads was bopping. I too, thank you for making me feel comfortable. Meek Mill's my guy. But by a show of hands, who knows someone loved, who knows someone you work with where that song was their life? Exactly. That reality is where we're gonna start today. A trauma awareness conversation, not just statistics. So again, my name is Stephen Matthews. I'm a Greensboro native. I'm a combat vet serving in the U.S. Army, served in Iraqi Endured Freedom in 2003. And I'm also the founder of Punch for Pounds, a social enterprise consisting of both for-profit and nonprofit, Tough LLC, and empowering communities from within. My mission today has been to bridge behavioral health, workforce, and education. Today, I'll show you how our wellness to workforce model, W2W, translates Greensboro's safety plan into action, transforming disconnected youth into tomorrow's workforce. So, did everybody get a chance to click for the QR code? Yes? Does everybody have that handout on their phone? Were we able to pull that up by a nod of heads? I want you to take some time sitting at your table, individually or collectively, and just read some of Meek Mill's verses. Because it was a clean version, but what you would have heard is a missing parent, an incarcerated parent, a deceased parent, poverty, drugs. And when you hear these verses, again, it's not entertainment, it's what we call an adverse childhood experience. How many know what an adverse childhood experience is? Perfect, so I won't have to break that down. But if we understand the adverse childhood experience, that means we're talking about a traumatic experience. That traumatic experience, it gets us closer to some level of mental health challenge or substance use disorder that gets us closer to a behavior that we see every day. Suspensions, outbursts, criminal, violent activity. But what we want to do is address that trauma. So, welcome to From Risk to Resilience, a wellness to workforce model. Healing center prevention through boxing, behavioral health, and workforce. Take a few minutes to review that handout, and then we'll kind of conclude and transition. When you read those verses again, remember, what does the adverse childhood experience look like? And it might not be on that paper, you can write it down. But when you say a missing parent isn't in the home, that adverse childhood experience is traumatic. That's a PTSD possibly. That's a substance use disorder possibly. That gets us connected to poor peer associations, gang activity, blah, blah, blah. That is the significance of understanding when we see our youth and we see students in these different places, what they're really dealing with. Now imagine applying that same understanding to an entire city system. That's what we do with the wellness to workforce model. Greensboro's community safety plan. I know earlier we had a keynote speaker, Director Latasha McNeil, for our Greensboro Department of Community Safety. They came up with a plan that had 3 pillars. And so Director McNeil and I had an opportunity to sit down earlier this year, and we was kind of in a synergy space where as she was creating a community safety plan, we were continuing as an organization to figure out how to support our communities as well as our city's officials. So the Greensboro's community safety plan calls for equitable pathways for change. The wellness to workforce model is the pillar in motion. It transformed disconnection into direction by linking youth to a coordinated pipeline of healing, skill building, and employment. Our focus was making sure we practice the policy and turn our safety plan into a living public health system. As you see some of those numbers, we're kind of break some of that down. Wrong way. The opportunity gap, disconnected but not defeated. So depending on the data source, between 5,000 to 7,000 young people in Guilford County, ages 16 to 24, are disconnected. What that simply means is that they're either not in school or they're not working. Every year in our county, we have graduating seniors that are not going to be in college or not in some educational space and are not going to be employed within the first 12 months. Well, we know that data immediately correlates to where violent and criminal activity is or begins. So whether you're looking at our My Future North Carolina dashboard or you're looking at a Carolina demography estimate, the point is clear. Thousands of young people are in our county are off the radar. That's exactly the population we begin to re-engage with the Wellness to Workforce model, led collaboratively by Punch for Pounds, Guilford Works, and NC Works Next Gen. Those numbers that Meek Mill was rapping about, or some of those concerns, the issues, the trauma, and these numbers that we see, they all coincide. There's a correlation. Trauma, unemployment, and violence go hand in hand, and our goal is to change that math. One of the things I wanted to do without just babbling to you guys is have a conversation and kind of interact with you. So by show of hands, who represents government in the room today? Awesome. And who represents community-based organizations? Perfect, perfect. There has to be a marriage there, and I think we will kind of convey that as the slides and presentation goes on. But I have a question for government. How might North Carolina ensure prevention becomes of its statewide safety and structure, becomes a part of statewide safety infrastructure? That's just something to think about. And for our CBOs, how does your organization currently help youth move from survival to stability? The public health challenge. Fragmented systems equals missed prevention opportunities. And so, as we talked about trauma, some of the behaviors, what that leads to outcomes, suspensions, referrals, adjudicated. Now we have detention and recidivism. Well, we want to break those silo chains, and that's what we did with our Wellness to Workforce model, utilizing CDC's four-step violence prevention framework: identify, develop, implement, and evaluate. So for us, we wanted to identify who the highest at risk. We wanted to develop a plan, implement our resources, our strategies, our models, our curriculum, and then, of course, evaluate what those outcomes look like. CBOs, quick question. I would like somebody to respond if they would like to. What barriers do you face coordinating with schools, courts, or workforce partners? Anybody from the CBO section? Yes. Mm, I like that. I like that. Yes. Yes. I faced that challenge. One of the things that I wanted to, excuse me, yes. And let me just say, how you doing today, sir? Yes, good to see you.
Like that. When you think about any holistic approach, especially if you're trying to create output, with you, current component that's important. You need both of those to go hand in hand. Do we have some guests? Response. I'll tell you, this year I had an opportunity to do a memorandum of understanding with our workforce development board of Guilford County, Guilford Works. Yes. I like that answer. I'm a strategic partner person. I don't deserve learning and abide me, or I don't come with what everybody else becomes. So come very uh vital. Makes you understand the collaboration. It's like so comprehensive. Usually,
Yeah, sorry about that. So, for instance, this gentleman right here by the name of Lynch Hunt, he works directly in reentry, and some of those questions and some of those ideas of stagnation, I'm pretty sure he can assist you with, and that's the level of collaborations that I try to happen. It's like where the hat I'm great at, but sit beside the person who's the expert in that space and let them kind of help me cultivate what that looks like. If that makes sense. So, great responses, great responses. I know I'm timed, and I like to talk. And the reason why I'm even reading from the laptop is to make sure I don't babble. So thank you guys. Here we are. So this is our cog box impact overview. I was fortunate enough a few years ago. Let me just say some of my background. I used to box professionally at the junior middleweight division. 5-1, 2 knockouts. I started late, but I was really like that. Trust me. So I'm 42 now, so I don't box anymore. But I do utilize it as a very unique engagement to our community, especially the youth that we work with. This has been a very powerful tool. But what you see on this slide is that we were able to implement cog box inside of an educational space during instructional time. So that means when a student leaves math, they come to cog boxing, they leave me and go to science. Well, what that looks like in real time from a practitioner place is frequency and dosage. So now, not only are we identifying the students who need it the most, your multi-tier support services, tier 2 and 3, individual and group. So we're identifying them, but now we're bringing in the intervention and the support and the resources so that those behaviors get a chance to be cultivated. And what we saw is that a Monday through Friday, 1 hour frequency and dosage session, we were able to create those outcomes. So what does that look like? A 40% reduction in behavior infractions. That looks like an increase in on-task behaviors. That looks like an increase in attendance. And I'll tell you, though we have somewhat of an educational hat, teaching a skill building development curriculum called CogBox, XCL, civic leadership, that's not our best hat. We're not the educator of core subjects. But what we focus on is impacting behavioral and attendance. And what we found out, that gives our educators the best shot at doing their job, which is what increasing these math and reading proficiency levels, which we know are correlated to criminal violent activity when they're low proficiency levels or low achievement. And so being able to support the social emotional well-being of students, but also going into these spaces and supporting educators in creating healthier and safer climates, we are now working together. And now we are saying, okay, not only are these students behaving more, on task more, coming to school more, their educational attainment is getting them closer to this level, which ultimately on the longitude side of things get them closer to career attainment, work experience, etc. Now, I heard someone say over here, I think the priorities change in different spaces. Well, again, I'm the live, learned, and applied, so I don't have time to wait on anybody. I can't be asking you for nothing. I ain't have a daddy. I don't got nobody to ask for nothing. What that means, if I get punched in the boxing ring, I can't cry. I'm gonna do this. Watch me, Lynch. I just pivot. And so what that means is that I had to figure out a way. How do I walk in schools today? Well, I partner with Guilford Works with the MOU, and now I'm bringing behavioral work readiness skill sets into a school space, which then allows me to do what? Bring the behavioral health aspect and the cog box aspect all at one time. So now I'm supporting educators, community, and workforce all at one time. What that looked like this year is a new initiative called Friday Night Futures, where we take our Guilford County Mobile Career Center, about $500,000. Don't call it a bus in front of Dr. Harrison, she'll get mad, but a big old bus. 10 devices. And we take that right to our Title I schools at a football game, and we serve in school, out of school, and community all at one time. So our first night, we service 3,000 people. Then we go back to another Title I school, which we know has the highest suspension rate, law enforcement referrals, economically disadvantaged population is over 70%. And we bring that resource right back to another location where it needed the most. That's what going into school looks like, and that's what innovative partnership looks like, but that also is what cross-sector partnership looks like. I learned, let me scratch your back and how to give you a reason to scratch mine. That makes sense, everyone? Lynn China is a mentor of mine. He watched me grow. Can I look at you real quick? So, Letitia McNeil, Trey Davis, Letitia McNeil, director of our Department of Community Safety, Trey Davis, our city manager, Arthur Durham, at the time, our violence prevention coordinator, selected Punch for Pounds as a community partner. I had a chance to travel to Louisville, work closely with Cities United, then being sponsored to work with the Strategies for Youth Neighborhood Centered Safety Initiative, hosted by Center for Disease Prevention Institute, and we collab. And so what this slide represents is the framework that we've implemented in our practices. So we're not just guessing, even though we are innovative, even though there isn't a standard, I didn't come up that traditional route. So I would believe I'm the innovator, that's the processor, but let's mix the two. My table over there, let's whip it up, right? So when we put that together, you have an opportunity to implement evidence-based practices and framework that can be supported. And I think that's important because if I was just freestyling, it'd be hard for me to get the buy-in. It'd be hard for me to get the investor. Who is the investor? City manager, city council, who's writing the priorities, general assembly, state. We need them to invest in this work because this isn't charity. This is physical strategy. This is infrastructure. We need to be a part of all budgets, state level down. So this framework supports and we're able to leverage that. That makes sense. They say I got 5 minutes and I got 5 slides. Here we go. Multi-sector entry point, we discussed that. I'm a kind of freestyle. So that just means we walk into a school, we have direct referrals from juvenile justice. We did the groundwork. So now our juvenile court judges know exactly who we are, not because we sitting in the courtroom every day, but because our work precedes us. We're taking those referrals. We're ensuring that we're meeting with those parents. We will walk in the courtroom. We will walk in the schoolroom. We will knock on your door. We're doing all of the necessaries as the entry points. So if it's NC Works referring to juvenile justice, we bring it right into our operations and provide them structure, activities, mentorship, and pay. We're going to get a quick second to talk about these snapshots. This year, I created a cloud database. I didn't create the cloud, I didn't create the database, but I'm using a database called P4 Intelligence Headquarters, where internally, we're able to capture, track, and convey data. So let's just look at, thought it had a point. The slide on the left, that says zone level breakdown, high risk. When a referral comes to our database, per the zip code or per who they come from, we're able to determine what the priority of that referral. So if the zip code is 2740506 or 01, that's a high priority referral. If it comes from juvenile justice, a high priority. Just as much as on the right side, we show multi-sector service partnerships. So most of our referrals come through our website. But as you see, almost half of our referrals come through juvenile justice. That small percentage is going to be NC Works, Department of Human Health Services. Real quick, this is our flow. We bring them into a cognitive boxing space. That's therapeutic, that's peer circles, that's social emotional. We provide wellness recovery action plan. This year, myself and staff became North Carolina certified in peer support. We pivoted into behavioral health. I did a partnership with Life Changing Group. We have a clinical and non-clinical team to provide certain services. And then we do the biggest part, which we know poverty and violence go hand in hand. So the biggest wraparound is going to be employment. And that's that partnership with Give for Works and being a work site provider myself as we get ready to become a pre-apprenticeship employee with Give for Works. Everything I'm telling you is how we're able to support our partners, but also bring value to our partners, which makes that coordination a whole lot easier. Here we go. This is just a quick slide of where we go into schools and community. We also work with A&T, our North Carolina A&T, Agriculture and Technology, HBCU. Let's go, Aggie Pride, big dogs, big dogs. So what happens is we became a vendor. So now we're putting this mobile boxing ring that you see on this news coverage inside of school, we put them inside of communities. I'm talking about the toughest communities where everything happening you heard about on that Meek Mill song. We put the boxing ring in the middle of the hood, and we serve that community in partnership with GPD, our police department, law enforcement, and with higher education. That's another significant opportunity to partner. How can I scratch your back? That'll give you a reason to scratch mine. This P4 Intelligence Headquarters, real quick, I was speaking to a mentor from Housing Authority. He said, Stephen, everybody knows what you do. Everybody knows who you are. You have the passion. That's not in question. You even have had the effort. I'm 10 years plus running. I have 5 children. I'm 42. I just became a granddaddy 2 weeks ago. My baby girl had twins. I've been doing this work that long. He said, you got the effort, but now you got to turn it into impact. Oh, man, y'all hear me now. Passion, effort, impact. CBOs, we running with too much passion and effort, but what is impact? Impact is how you going to pay yourself. That's called a return on investment. That's called data. So when he told me that, I sat in the bathroom for 6 days, 6 hours. I'm not lying. And I became a student and figured out how to create an internal database that I can't pay for somebody else so that I can capture, track, and convey data to every stakeholder through a dashboard and interfaces to say, this is why, this is not charity, this is infrastructure, invest in this. Here we go. Let's go fast because we ain't got that much time. On this left side, you see 28 juvenile justice referrals. Here go the data part right here I need everybody to get. 28 justice referrals on the right, on the left side. Well, guess what? In 3, 6, 9, 12 months, less than 5% had new infractions. Oh, man. That's what they write the check for. Can I get 2 more seconds? The policy, health, and frame. This is braided. What I wanted you to hear is on every level, there's this taxpayer dollars is going directly to homicide. In every county, there's a taxpayer dollar going directly to juvenile detention. But if you pay punch for pounds $1,400 for the year, you are now saving A and B. Now, what that means is every $1 invested is a $6 save. And if we talk about not just saving, but if I put this kid to work, I'm boosting the economy, that's like $12. So you telling me in Greensboro, $591 per residence when it's a homicide. Right now, Mr. Lynch, we at 30 plus. So let's just say we estimating $20 million. All we need is what? To come to prevention. If we had 1 year, we had 50 plus homicides. So let's just say that's 50 million. Well, I know right now the North Carolina Office of Violence Prevention is only asking for 10 million. That means one city paid for the Department of North Carolina Office of Violence Prevention, and then Raleigh and Charlotte and Durham pay for every other CBO to get funded, just based on reallocating of taxpayer dollars in prevention versus response. This makes sense what I'm saying. This conversation then becomes not charity, but becomes business. No, excuse me, business may be the wrong word. Strategy, physical strategy, reallocation, reinvestment. We need water, we need money for water, sewage, and housing. Well, violence prevention should be right there beside it. Inside of the city budget, as well as the county, as well as the state. Mr. Lynch, does this make sense? Oh, man, I realize that not only am I representing youth in the community, but I'm representing all of the CBOs. I'm speaking for everybody that's supposed to be able to be funded to do this great work. And then I'm telling you, we got some tools to make sure that everybody from government can buy into this. So I'm going to skip this. I want to go right here real quick. Amarion, I had his court counselor send me a testimonial. He came to me through a justice referral. He spent 12 months with me. No new infractions. Came off the ankle monitor, graduated high school, over 500 plus hours in work experience. Here he goes. This is what outcomes are supposed to look like. This is what they're going to write the check for. No, because not only did we save X amount of millions for him not being detained, him not being a victim of homicide or a perpetrator of homicide, but we actually are getting him prepared to go into the workforce. Oh, man. Don't call it charity, call it investment, though. All right, so real quick, this is the life cycle. Identify, coordinate, employ, measure, scale. That measuring part is for everybody to come together. How do we on the ground level create metrics that support what government has to take back to General Assembly and to the leadership to say, make this investment? And that's where we got to come together at. This P4 headquarters database, again, is how we're able to help determine that. Capture, track, and convey. Do the work, and then let's articulate all of the great work we're doing, not just by him not being suspended or him not being killed, but also by how much money we're saving our city and our county and our state. That's risk to wellness, risk to resilience, wellness to workforce model. I'm Stephen Matthews, reporting live from North Carolina.
Y'all can do better than that. Give Stephen another big round of applause. I know all of y'all knew this was a two-part session, but we definitely want to give everyone the opportunity to ask Stephen a couple questions. So at this time, if anyone has a question for Mr. Stephen, please raise your hand. I'll get you the mic.
Before you ask that question, don't ask me no hard questions now.
Thank you for the opportunity. What age group do you primarily service?
That's a great question. So this age group for this program is going to be primarily 16 to 24. And I'll tell you, I had a great conversation. We went to one of our local high schools just the other day, and I was engaging 9th graders and 10th graders, 14-year-olds. Where from a workforce place, we're able to actually, in school is defined from 14. Well, the next year program can serve 14 to 24-year-olds. Focusing for us is 16 to 24, just based on being a work experience site and then being able to partner with other work experience employers to ensure that we can get the 16-year-olds. There is a service gap for that 14 and 15-year-old, so that's been a new conversation, but primarily 16 to 24 for this model. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I wanted to ask about your funding streams.
Wow, great question. So listen, I'm a for-profit first. And I said that because I remember having the opportunity to sit on the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council as I came out. And so this idea of being a leader. And so I learned the bylaws, but I also seen that most people didn't understand nonprofit. So it's like, I have a tax exempt, can I have some money? And so I took the time to actually learn the business of what we're actually doing. And so I will say that my first funding stream is going to be an earned dollar, right? The contracting with schools. This year we pivoted into behavioral health. We are able to now partner with a credential agency, and now we're able to be a part of billing opportunities. And so leveraging WeOsha funds is also another greater resource. And so what that means is that when that 16-year-old comes to me, he's now an employee of NC Works, and those federal dollars for workforce are what's being used for his work experience. And so we found that way of in sustaining our own operations, pivoting to a scalable opportunity with billing of our insurances and Medicaid, and then leveraging the WeOsha funds as well. And what I'll tell you this is, we haven't been funded by our city or our county. Again, I'm for profit first. But what I love about this model of social enterprise is that to create an earned dollar and then sustain nonprofit operation, it makes you way more attractive for everything around you because you're not asking, you're matching. And that's the goal for us at some point where hopefully you punch it in the mouth. Oh wow. No, it's okay. Good to see you. It has been. It has been good to see you. Yes,
I
sir, Mr. Lynch.
oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody else.
yeah, I know that the students are 16 to 24, but how do you engage families?
Oh, perfect. Great question. So engaging families is it really comes with the territory, man. And so I'm a dad myself, and I said that on purpose. So to be a dad and not have a dad, and then to work with families and understand the idea is to bring families together. And so to work with a child, that's one thing, right? But I need to speak to the parent or the home of this child so we're echoing the same things. And so it can't be I send you back here, then I got to restart with you because you're going to this environment and come back into this environment. So we make it a conscious effort to build relationships with the family. That's the mom, that's the grandma, that's the aunt, or it could be the dad. We make that a focal point. And now as we get closer into delivering some of our services, somebody mentioned it earlier, the kid is the entry point. But holistically, if you're creating outcomes, you got to touch both. And so as if we go into the front door through the kid, we want to touch the parent, or if we go through the front door through the parent, we're going to want to touch the kid. That makes sense, Mel?
Hi. So at the beginning of the session, you asked about challenges that CBOs face.
Yes.
And there were a couple of people who agreed about the idea that there isn't a roadmap or a standardized process for doing this. So, what did it look like for you to make the connections and connect the dots that allowed you to move from, your initial idea to the point that you're at now?
Oh, wow. There's so many layers to that. So you got a young man, his mom comes to me. We're providing all of our service on a sliding scale fee if we go on the for-profit side. Long story short, daddy gets incarcerated, one of the biggest bonds in the county up until date, and he has 7 kids, and they're all coming. I think for me, you have those stories, then you have the idea of knowing that you're sitting in teen court and or juvenile court, and the judge doesn't want to send his kid home because the guardian doesn't want him. You just have all of these whys, and so for me, it's not about running into a no and then stopping there. It's a 12 no, 1 yes, 14, 104, whatever the amount of no's to get to the yes, that's the focus. And so we just stay diligent and persistent. We understood that we bring value. We understood that that workforce is a big thing. When you're dealing with youth who robbing smoke shops or they're dealing with social determinants, so they live in a food desert and their mom doesn't have any money and there's no food in the grocery store. So we wanted to make sure we understood what was taking place and we try to get the right resources to be able to stagnate or delay some of those behaviors so that we can keep them close and cultivate. That makes sense? Did I answer your question? How did I meet the people? I am, it could be the military in me, being a leader and figuring out who is who. I'm a student, so I understand who is workforce. I understand who is juvenile justice, education. I know our city councils. I know this. I go past what we're doing on a day to day to understand the whole ecosystem and how it all goes together. And so if I need, I worked with NC Works for a few years. We had a chance to go into a pre-apprenticeship, so we just made that contact. Same way with the juvenile crime prevention. I actually had a chance to meet. I volunteered for the Guilford County Citizens Academy. I met Commissioner Cashins and Commissioner Ray Trapp at the time, who was at RDU. They appointed me to sit on the board, and so it was just this diligent wanting to be a part of the solution mindset. If I hope I answered that question. Any more questions? Mr. Lynch, you had a question? Give me one. Ah, that's it? Okay. All right.
So we definitely have to move on to the next part of it. If you will go into the app, you can upload your questions and we will make sure that all your questions get answered.